Hello, everybody. This is Hollywood Matt Connolly. Welcome to the Daily Combat Podcast. I'm your host, sitting here with a bicep flex, which is in the contract, has to be done every episode. Although today I'm probably going to get out bicep flex. This is probably the one guest we've had with bigger arms than both of us. So, of course, our co-host is the man with the voice of Golden Honey, the man with the voice that can only be acquired through years of cigars and brandy and backroom,
Indeed.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. The man whose voice makes you feel like you're sliding between silk sheets. Combat sports ring announcer Dave Stockbridge.
Hi, everyone.
That's right. And we funny if you had like a terrible voice. Go, hi, everybody.
Yeah, it's nice to see everyone today. So it's going to be a great day, good interview. Norm's a good bloke. It's going to be excellent.
Exactly. And our special guest today, obviously, we've got Norm Lowe, a fantastic entrepreneur, has been involved in many areas of the fitness world for a long time. Obviously has the physical attributes to go with that. It's been training for a long time in the gym. Well versed. I think we'll find today that the knowledge that this man possesses about training and nutrition and advice and how to set up businesses and especially involved in the fitness area of the industry. So welcome to the show and thank you for being here.
I hope I live up to the hype of me.
The hype of the introduction.
Exactly.
That's great. And you were saying a minute ago that you've been involved in the industry for how long? It was like 20 years or something? Or?
Just over 10 years now.
10 years. Fantastic.
Yeah, just over 10 years. I've kind of dabbled in lots of different areas of the fitness industry. Most recently, I've kind of stayed as an online coach, and I'll be staying on as an online coach for a fair while.
Yeah.
One-on-one personal training as well.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a lot of found myself in a bit of a mentoree role where I've helped up and coming personal trainers, like you said, get their business off the ground and kind of figure out, how to separate themselves from other PTs. So I found myself in that position as well.
Yeah.
And I think now that we're entering this new age, so to speak, where there's going to be a lot of people who are displaced, who do have an interest in training and might start to think, well, maybe there's a career in it for me. So I'm super keen to delve deeply into those things that you've done that have been successful and some of the things you're sharing with your mentees that are working right now.
Yeah, definitely. So one thing that this came up last week, one of my mentees came up to me and said, I've just done my first month at, I won't say the gym franchise, but I've just done my first month there, averaging about 15, 20 sessions a week. I'm like, that's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do I get paid? And I said, what do you mean?
Okay,
He's
that's an
like, I've
interesting
done all
one.
these sessions. Like, how do I ask for money? Like, how do I get paid? I'm like, you don't know how to do invoices. You don't know how to set up direct debit. You don't know how to do any of that, do you?
Right.
He's like, no. Like, we got taught, the food pyramid at PT school. We got taught, levers and insertion points and, how not to injure someone. We didn't get taught how to run a business. And the main thing with business is the cash flow and all that stuff, but they didn't touch on that at all.
Wow.
After the 12 weeks, they said, you are qualified. Good luck out there. All the best.
Wow.
Don't hurt anyone.
Oh, man.
How interesting is that? I mean, we had a meeting in this building just a week ago with the South Australia's chief entrepreneur. And what was a really interesting takeaway from that was that you've got a generation of children leaving school or leaving university, and they might have some specific skills, technical skills in a certain area, but when it comes to entrepreneurship, setting up a business, understanding KPIs, what to look out for, importantly, how to market yourself, and none of that can be found in the curriculum. And so we're finding that we've got some really good people that are kind of entering the workforce or that are transitioning out of perhaps what they've been doing for some time, falling into the areas of their passion, but then falling flat on their face because they don't have the business fundamentals there.
Yeah. It's like their skill set isn't keeping up with their passion or their their fundamentals aren't keeping up with their skill set.
So tell us a little bit about your early history. When was the first time you kind of thought, I like picking up the weights?
It was actually out of necessity. So it was part of my rehabilitation.
Right.
I used to be semi-decent level soccer player.
Right.
Never touched a dumbbell, a barbell, anything like that in my life. When I was probably around 10, 12, 13, 14. I unfortunately peaked at my soccer career, but I was playing like reserve league level soccer at the time. So I was playing up against like, open men, fully grown men, and they would just push me off the ball. They would just outmuscle me. It's part of the sport, no problem. But I tore my hip flexor quite badly, just sprinting, and part of that, physio said, get in the weights room, strengthen it up. You're going through puberty now. It's about time you strengthen up everything around there anyway. So got in there, found that my body was quite responsive. I enjoyed the process of progressive overload. Like I treat it like a game, which these days I don't understand how people can jump from training program to training program. And, I've always seen training as quite simple.
Couldn't agree with you more about that.
Treat it like a game. Like, what was your top score from the week before? Try and beat that score. There's different ways you can beat that score, but that's another conversation. Found that I was quite responsive to it, and never looked back. Stopped playing soccer.
So do you remember that time where you're looking in the mirror, or where you're looking at something going, where did that muscle come from?
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I think I started lifting when I was probably around 17. 32 now. So it was a long time ago. I remember in school, I was one of the first people to start drinking protein shakes at lunch. And this is way before, every Tom, Dick and Harry was drinking protein shakes. This was like, you either had Musashi or you had nothing. And it tasted like dirt. It didn't mix. It was rubbish, but it was all there was at the time. There was no other brands. There was no you had no idea what WPC was versus WPI and all that stuff. It's just, if it said protein on it, you buy it, and that's it.
That's like Mega Mass 2000. That was the formula that was our go-to.
And the flavour was cardboard.
It was terrible. And
any flavour cardboard you want.
Stuff like that. It stuck around in the industry for so long until it started to get some traction. Now the flavors are amazing.
Amazing the technology caught up with the drinking industry. The protein shake production industry. So it was really out of necessity. So you really started as a matter of complementing your burgeoning soccer career at that point. And when did the soccer start to fade away and the gym start to take over?
So it was, like I said, I was very young for the level that I was playing, and the kind of height of my career was I got offered a full college scholarship to a college in South Africa.
Incredible.
It would have been equivalent to year 7 through to year 12 at the time, and then following on with their college system over there. Full college scholarship for that. The team came down from South Africa and they did an Australian tour. I think they played 3 schools from every state, the best schools in each state, and they basically offered scholarships to who they wanted. I was lucky enough to get one of those, but my parents were like, we're not moving to South Africa. So if you want to go, you're on your own. And I was like a young kid, skinny as I think I was probably around 50 kilos. Definitely no way I was going to move there on my own. So I just put that aside. And then I think a few weeks later, I actually injured myself with my hip flexor. And the physio was like, oh, look, you're going to be out for at least 2 months. So get in the gym. It'll probably speed it up. Don't make it any worse. While you're there, try and increase your upper body size and strength as well. And it was in those 2 months that I was like, you know what? I've started slipping in my soccer. I've started losing passion. Other people that were younger than me have started overtaking me. So I think I'm going to take a year off, and just never went back.
Brilliant.
Simple as that.
Incredible. And from an entrepreneurial perspective, where's that grounded? Is that something in your family? Have you got some role models that you've kind of had near you, in proximity to you, as you're entering into the business world?
So I have massive shoes to fill. So as far as I know, it might get lost in translation. My Cantonese and my Mandarin isn't amazing. But as far as I know, my grandfather was the first person to introduce Australia to acrylic as a raw material.
Incredible.
So you're looking around, there's acrylic in this, there's acrylic in the equipment, girls with their acrylic nails and stuff like that. My grandfather, as far as I know, was the first person to introduce that to Australia and distribute it on a mass scale. He was bringing in like hundreds of tons every month.
Wow.
He passed that business on to my dad. My dad passed away when I was 8, so when I was quite young. He kind of got screwed over by a business partner, and then my family went off and went into the restaurant industry, and that's fine. But yeah, that's what I remember of my granddad and my dad. So big. They came over here from Hong Kong.
Yep.
Didn't speak much English, didn't have much money at all. Not enough money, in fact, to bring my mum over. So my mum stayed in Hong Kong for around 10 years by herself, while dad kind of set himself up here. Then once he worked, like he started off washing dishes and cleaning and stuff like that. And then once he had enough money, brought mum over and they worked on the business together. Yeah.
Wow.
Incredible.
So, yeah, entrepreneurial, very different industries, but the amount of times when mum said, like, you're so much like your dad, like, you know, how can I flip this? How can I do that? And
And so having that, the good fundamentals and having some good mentors around you and good role models, did you feel that was came in very handy when it came time to commercialise the gym side of things?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm very lucky that I came into personal training after owning my own gym.
Right.
So the business model, Matt, you've probably seen it with how I ran my business at that gym. I ran my personal training business as if it was a commercial gym business.
Right.
Okay. So the regular personal trainer, they'll be like, all right, I'm doing 10 sessions a week now. How do I get to 12? From there, how do I get to 15? How do I get to 10? I never thought like that. I thought, okay, once I've got one, how can I keep them on for 12 weeks? How can I keep them on for 24 weeks? You know, so I brought a gym membership model where once you sign on with me, and I'd only sign up with you if you can commit 12 weeks with me, how can I bring that into the personal training? And then from there, just escalated. I got up to busy enough to have a waiting list. And, you know, I never had to worry about like, oh shit, I'm busy this week, but next week's looking completely empty. I knew my next 3 months in advance. And then I had a waiting list ready to take on, if anyone dropped off after 3 months, I had someone waiting ready to take their spot. And that's kind of something that I think I did differently as a PT that I don't see any other PTs doing at the moment.
That's
And you're saying that was born out of the experience of having run your own gym at that stage. So,
Yeah,
so
that's right.
you started your own gym very early on as well.
Yeah, so when I was, must be in about mid-20s, I looked at what was, I was bodybuilding. I had a bodybuilding background. I was training as a bodybuilder, but I was getting a bit bored. And I remember the exact moment in the gym. I was doing a dumbbell bicep curl, looking at myself in the mirror, and I thought,
As one does.
there's got to be more to life to training than this. You know? So I started looking at what else there was out there.
Yeah.
CrossFit was massively up and coming at the time. Like, not really interested. The injury side of that really scared me. I started just investigating the different kind of training principles out there, and I landed on NFL players. And I thought, all right, what are they doing? Because they're like 140 kilos and they can run faster than our fastest AFL players, and they can jump higher than our top level basketball players, and they can turn on a dime better than our best soccer players. So what are they doing? That led me down the road of strength and conditioning. And I saw what their gyms look like over there for their college athletes.
Yeah.
Like literally airplane hangar size, like airplane hangar warehouses decked out with an entire football field on the inside, squat racks on one side, and then other machines on the other side. I said, okay, general rule of thumb is Australia is about 5 to 10 years behind America. So if that's what they're doing over there now, that's what's going to be coming over here in about 5 to 10 years.
Right.
Okay. So I took a risk, opened something very similar, massive AstroTurf area on the inside of the gym, and then squat racks down one side, free weights and stuff on the other side.
Yeah.
And was based on like, you know, all right, I'm going to pre-fatigue your legs with like a heavy sled sprint.
Yeah.
And while they're still tired and while you're still puffed out, you're going to go squat 60% of your max and stuff like that. So no one else was training like that at the time. Turned that into like a class format, built that into a, what do you call it? A gym kind of business model again, membership service.
Yeah.
And yeah, grew that up to about 250 members.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And how long did that take you to get up to that type of level?
About 4 years I owned that for.
Incredible.
Yeah. But I scaled that. Like, this is something I had no idea about at the time. I scaled that completely wrong.
Right.
So I was the only trainer for 7 days a week for 4 years. I could have hired other people, but in my mind as an entrepreneur, I'm like, why would I pay someone else for something that I can do myself and save money?
Right.
So, yeah. And then it got to the point where
But in retrospect, you found that was a mistake?
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It got to the point where I did hire other trainers because I wanted to, have a day off or have a morning off. And I'd get complaints from the regulars saying, we signed up for you, Norm, not this person.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
And how did you disentangle the two, like the training system that effectively you were sharing, which is what the people were getting benefit from, as opposed to the cult of personality that perhaps people have bought into a little bit with you? How did you eventually separate that, or were you not able to in that business?
I wasn't able to.
Yeah.
I just
so
had to
the
sell
solution
it.
was to sell. Yeah.
Yeah. I was getting more and more complaints the more I tried to force new trainers in. Even though I thought they were great trainers, they were awesome. They were educated, they were passionate. I thought they were a right fit, but
They just weren't you.
they just weren't me, which is an awesome compliment, and it's an awesome lesson for me in hindsight to make sure you scale right. And
Yeah.
What would you have done differently with hindsight?
just not being stingy and brought someone on quicker.
Earlier on, so
Yeah.
that people aren't conditioned to you always being the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Yeah, but that makes complete sense. And I guess lessons brought forward into newer ventures as you've walked through the path of life.
Yep.
So you touched on it just a little while ago, but now you are applying those lessons for others to learn from. And so how did that come about? Was that just a matter of, look, I've learned a lot in the last 10 years and surely somebody else has got to benefit from this as well, and started to, how did that start to happen for you?
Yeah, I never went out looking for it. I never offered that as a service, but I had just random PTs from the industry reach out to me and say like, hey, I can see how many people you're helping. How are you actually doing that and still getting enough sleep, getting enough food, getting enough, your own training in? Like, what are your systems and processes? And the big thing, besides the whole gym business model being adopted as a PT, was learning to not swap your time for money. So right now, most PTs, they sell their services on an hourly basis. They've still got to be there.
Yep.
And so one thing that I try and teach a lot of up-and-coming PTs is like, how can you replicate yourself, or how can you automate systems so that you don't have to be there in person while they're still getting the value of your services? Whether that be through online coaching, making sure your online coaching has the right systems and making sure that they're still getting the right amount of help, whether that's hiring someone under you, whether that's making sure that the client knows what they're signing up for before they sign up with you. I've had to drop clients because I'm not a 24/7 coach, for example. So there's people out there that were trying to message me after hours. They'd be like, oh, can I eat this instead of this? Can I swap this muscle out for that muscle? It'd be like 9 o'clock at night. And so I'm really sorry, but like, I think you might be better off getting the services of someone that can help you around the clock. When I clock off at, whenever I clock off, I need my own time in the nicest possible way. I'm not saying I'm not here for you, but just make sure your questions sent to me within those hours, and I always get back to you. If then after hours, it's at my discretion.
Yeah. It's really hard, I think, for a lot of PTs because especially early on in a personal trainer's career, a lot of their work is outside of hours already, and it's at the hours that are convenient for the people that want to be trained. So
Absolutely.
it can often be like 5 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock at night. And also that's what leads to a lot of burnout for a lot of PTs, because
Definitely.
in amongst that, it's turning up at 5 o'clock in the morning, but the client doesn't.
Yes.
Or similarly, it's at dinner time and you're standing around for half an hour waiting for somebody who couldn't be bothered to text you to
it
let you
happens.
know.
Accidents do happen. People 100% accidentally slept in. Their alarms didn't go off and stuff like that. I was with you at the time. This person's late. They're not coming anyway. So it all comes down to, again, like, not burning out is not making yourself available all the time. I used to take every session I could at the start, and then eventually I stopped offering sessions that were past my dinner time, just so that I could eat and, you know, digest and rest before my next day.
Yeah.
And then I stopped taking on clients that were too early. And as I made myself more scarce, I became more sought after because I wasn't available all the time. I had clients reaching out saying, hey, I've been referred to you by this person. Can you help? And I'd say, I actually can't, sorry. Would you like to join my waiting list? And then that would make them twice as eager to have my services. That's another mistake that I think a lot of personal trainers make. They bend the knee to wait to anyone and everyone. Hey, I'm a shift worker. Can you do a 3 a.m. session on a Saturday morning? It's like, yep, I'll take it.
Yep.
I'll take it. And then they'll take it and they'll absolutely screw themselves over for the week ahead. And then they'll do it again the next weekend. And then that client's like, hey, thanks for your services. I'm just going to try this thing on my own now. And then, you know, they're 2 weeks behind now.
Yeah.
Catching up on sleep, catching up on their schedule and stuff like that. So
one of the things that you were doing that I hadn't seen anyone else doing was the direct debit stuff, and I was like, that's so clever, because you know, you're not relying on somebody that if they don't turn up, they've already paid for that session, so it's not as if you're going to be missing out. Whereas so many trainers are there like waiting, and it's like, damn it, I'm not going to get any money for this. Like, I guess they'd probably go for a 24-hour cancellation or something like that. But then you've got to, you know, chase them up for the money, and it's like, you know, that side of things. So to automate that, that's really quite. That's why I was like, I got to get this going, because he's like, you've optimized so many areas. You've looked at the whole system of PT and gone, what can I do to make this better or make this easier for me or more convenient? And it's like, well, I can do the online stuff, or I can create a program of 12 weeks. And then it's like, you pay for that up front, and then I guide you through it. And you can do those sessions without me actually physically standing there counting the reps for you. You know?
Definitely. Yeah. The direct debit thing is getting more popular with personal trainers now, but there's still, I find from the feedback that I get, very apprehensive asking for that payment, for that commitment.
Yeah.
That comes back to the personal trainer's own self-belief and, you know, the self-confidence and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the market will always determine what you're worth. I was well known to be significantly more expensive than the other trainers that I worked with, more than double some of them. But I was also the busiest. So that tells me that if people weren't willing to pay my price, I simply wouldn't be the busiest. Right. The market just told me that the prices that I was charging was fair because of the service that I was providing in return. Yeah,
and plus, you know, when you attach a higher price, I mean, people sort of say, well, you know, if he's at this level of cost, then he obviously knows what he's talking about, and it's like, you can't just, you know, I guess you would have some shysters that would put in, you know, oh, it's 150 an hour, yeah, sure. But you know, if you've got a solid foundation of training and history behind you, and you know, people can see that you're there, people are wearing your clothing, which is another thing I thought was awesome. Norm has his own clothing brand, the Norm Low Fitness, you know, and his own logo and everything. And I think when people would sign up with you, they would get a jumper or something like that. Is that how it would work?
I would just make training with me like fun. I would, like, besides the clothes, I would, because of this whole COVID thing right now in gyms in SA, you got to wipe down your equipment with sanitized paper towel, no problem. But instead of just seeing that as a chore, I turned that into a game with my clients. I'd wipe down their equipment. I'd scrunch up the ball, and I say, all right, if I get this in the bin from 10 meters away, you go give me 10 extra burpees.
Is that why there's paper all over the gym?
I never actually picked up after myself. But I made it fun. You know, it's like, all right, if I get this in, you got to give me a new PB on the leg press. If I miss, then I will do an exercise that you want to, torture me with. So everyone like. And I think slowly it caught on. People would see, like, oh, I was going to go for a shot there. They knew what was coming up. There was something on the line. Either my client was about to get tortured on a leg press, or I was about to do 20 burpees in front of the whole gym. So I made that fun. And another thing with the clothing, it was fun. It's like, all right, if you can give me a perfect week, if like you can give me get to bed the time that I would like you to get to bed so that you're well enough rested, if you can stick to your macros well enough, if you can stick to enough training sessions, I'll give you a free Norm Low shirt.
Awesome.
And then that turned into like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
And at one stage there was
Everyone has one.
dozens of
Is
dozens
this Norm's
of
gym here? Like,
Things people will do for a t-shirt, mate.
yeah, and it's a really cool feeling. I get messages from friends that's just saying like, "Oh, hey, I'm at the movies and the person in front of me is wearing a Norm Low shirt." Like, that's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. So instead of just trying to monetize that and sell it, I did sell them as well, but the main kind of idea behind that was to make it fun, give them another reason to be adhesive to the plan.
Yeah.
They would get better results, which would be better for my business, and it's just like a snowball effect. I got these awesome results, and I got them through Norm. They tell their friends, and my business just grew.
Okay, so there's a lot of people that have had an aspiration to get into personal training, or who may have already been personal trainers who've maybe been put off by the last 2 years. COVID has been devastating for the fitness industry, and really, even now there's so much uncertainty around. What are some of your tips for people that perhaps are now considering a career in personal training in what could be uncertain times? And also, what are some suggestions to those people who are now thinking, well, the vaccination rollout's going on, maybe things are getting back to normal, now's the time that I need to be thinking about a career in personal training, and now's the time to do it?
Yep. Probably the recurring themes that I tell my up-and-coming PTs is don't overestimate the importance of social media, okay? People come to me on a weekly basis saying, I've only got 500 followers, you've got 14,000, how can I make a business with only 500 followers? I'm like, if you had 1% of that, if you had 5 clients or 50 clients, which one is it?
10%, 10% would be 50, but 5.
It's whatever you say it is.
1%
a week.
Carry the
1%
wire.
a day.
Yeah, 1% of 500 is 5 clients. If you had 5 regular clients a week, that's better than most starting PTs. All right, with 5 starting clients per week, if you can get a referral from half of them, let's say 2, you're on to 7 the next week. Don't overestimate the importance of social media. I see PTs that spend hours getting content for their social media. I'm like, but people aren't paying for you to do that. Like, you got to figure out how you can help them, and then double down on those existing clients and make them love your services so much that they have no choice but to talk about you at the dinner table with their friends and family. All right, so that's probably
it's the barbecue conversations you're working on with them, rather than what might look nice and shiny on Instagram. So
the amount of PTs that flash their transformation photos of their clients, looks great on social media, but in reality, that client is unhappy. They've been starved, or their results aren't sustainable, that they will never actually recommend you as a trainer to their friends.
Oh.
It's such a massive gap between the two. What you see as a awesome transformation should also translate into a happy client.
Right.
But 9 times out of 10, from my experience, it's not that close.
And what do you think the disconnect is there? So, I mean, from a marketing perspective, the assumption would be, wow, they look like that, like me, and now they look like that, like Norm. But you're saying that's the wrong messaging to be putting out there to people, perhaps.
I'm not saying the before and after photos are bad. They're awesome. I'm saying, in a nutshell, I'm saying that most personal trainers are very selfish. They will get the person from point A to point B at the cost of their health, at the cost of their kind of sustainability and their results.
Just get that photo.
Just to get that photo, just to make the PT look good. And then after they're done with that client, they're disregarded.
Right.
All right,
The biggest loser.
Yeah.
That TV show.
So to fix that, you don't see that before and after photo as the end result. You see the end result as a client who doesn't have to stop with your services after they've had that second photo. They're like, I've loved your services so much, how can I keep going?
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I think I've done well compared to other personal trainers. not only do I sign them on for 12 weeks, but after 12 weeks, my retention rate is quite high. So they're like, oh, yeah, just keep the direct debits going for another 12 weeks, you know? Whereas most PTs, they're chasing week by week. Hey, John, are you on for next week? Oh, sorry, I've got too much on next week. I'll hit you up when I'm free again. And that's more common in the personal training industry.
Yeah, 100%. And so much uncertainty. And I think for a lot of people that genuinely got into personal training to help people, often they're stunned when they realise they're in a chip and chase, almost sales-like business, rather than a health business.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you help reconcile that for a lot of people that may have just gotten into it for those reasons of helping others and because they've got a genuine passion around fitness? But how do you reconcile that against the chore of having to market yourself and then chip and chase and deal with people? And it sounds like in some part you've systemized the chip and chase part, so there's less of the chasing of the client, and you've got now a business of attraction. So now you've got people that are waiting in line, that are waiting to come to you, and that they're obviously huge fundamentals. Once you've got those things right, then almost the other half takes care of itself. But how does somebody get from that position of chipping and chasing to creating an attraction business where they've got a waiting list?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, a big turning point was deciding that I wouldn't work with anyone I didn't enjoy working with.
Yeah, that's why you don't work with Matt.
That's you have to pick up all the paper balls.
Yeah, I miss. That's why I'm doing burpees in the gym all the time. Yeah. A lot of PTs I see out there, they are not enjoying themselves. They're burning out because they're doing sessions with clients that leave them feeling more drained after the session than before. With me, if you ever see me on the gym floor, I'm always having fun with my clients. And I'm not afraid to drop a client if they're an energy drainer, if they're constantly cancelling, constantly late on their direct debits, things like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, not everyone is in a position that they can cancel clients and, recommend other trainers for them if they're not a good fit. But I think a big part of it is enjoying yourself, because you attract more. People underestimate how much you're looked at as a personal trainer on the gym floor when you don't think you're being stared at. Okay. I will just be spotting a client, or I'll be walking with a client, and how you conduct yourself on the gym floor is massive. People are staring at you when you don't think they are.
So you're always on display.
Yeah, you're a walking billboard. One thing that stuck out with me, because I've also paid for a lot of coaching, I've also paid for a lot of mentors in my own time, is as a personal trainer, always have the cleanest shoes on the gym floor. Okay? Sounded weird to me at the time, but I'm like, all right, he said it, he's successful, I'm going to do it. And the amount of people that came up to me and said, you've always got immaculate shoes. I'm like, people notice. People notice. And from there, it's like, hey, thank you for noticing. Like, how's your training going? Is there anything I can help with? And, they turn into a client.
My shoes are dirty.
What laundry detergent do you use? It's just the small things like that. I can't remember what your original question was. What was I?
Oh yeah, just how do you help encourage people who are going through that transition from having a business where they're chipping and chasing, and it's really hard. And I say this because my wife later in life decided she wanted to be a personal trainer. Interestingly, she'd not really been to the gym ever beforehand. She'd had a health episode and thought, I'm going to get healthy and I might as well do it for a job. And very quickly went from, oh, well, I love training and I like going to the gym and I like the people there and I like wearing activewear all the time, to shit, I hate calling people up when they're, not paying me, and I hate turning up and they've forgotten their $20 this morning again for the fourth time in a row. And Sharon just cancelled. Third time at 6:30 at night. So it very quickly became, very wearing, because I think, when you're there to genuinely help people and you seem to be battered around with chores that you don't like doing and people that mightn't be responsive to your want to help, it can be quite demoralising. And I'd imagine there'd be a lot of really good people that have lost to personal training simply as a result of that experience. And from what I can understand as well, most gyms don't have much of a protocol to induct personal trainers into the business side of things. It's more pay us rent, you can turn up, You can use some space. Plus, guess what? You can do some free PTs for people that we've just signed up just for fun for us. And fill your diary with that, please. Yeah,
leads.
Leads opportunities.
We're doing you a favour by offering you these free leads.
So that fundamentally is the business model, and I guess a really hard one for anybody who's jumped into the game over the last couple of years in particular. So it doesn't sound like it's your model though.
No. One thing that I do that a lot of PTs don't do is I will never ever offer anything for free, not even a consult. So if you want to speak with me, you have to go through a screening process.
Right.
And that kind of filters out the...
Did you do this earlier so we can get the interview? Is this what happened? This has been months in the making.
He had to screen meeting. He's watched all the episodes. No.
So that filters out a lot of time wasters in itself. The people that kind of pass the screening process will get to sit down with me maximum 10 minutes.
And so this is like the screening process, is this... do you have someone that screens that for you, or do you have an automated process?
Automated online.
Okay.
So I've got...
very smart. So that's how you're able to scale.
Saving time, yeah.
Right, okay.
And it gets even more automated by that, because if I click the wrong answer for a yes or no...
Dun dun.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
but
gone.
once again, I'm speaking from a position where I can do that, where I can turn down quite a lot of clients. You know, the other PTs that the gym I used to work at, I've passed a lot of clients onto them. They're like, all right, this guy wants a lot of boxing PT. I'm not that guy. Go see this person. I understand that a lot of people will take on any client they can at the start, just to get their numbers up, just to get their cash flow up. I would say, instead of lowering your own standards to take on anyone, be a bit more exclusive and use that time that you're not on the gym floor to upskill, and then you will be more confident to take on people that you wouldn't usually, which in turn means you can charge more, which in turn means being more in demand, because the people that are willing to pay more will have more teeth in the game, and they'll be more willing to stick to the plan and get results than the people that want the cheapest PT, who think the cheapest PT is also given them the cheapest service, so they are not as inclined to stick with the plan. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100% it makes sense. Yeah. And what do you think have been your biggest challenges through the pandemic so far? As I mentioned before, it's been devastating for your industry, and in certain jurisdictions around the world, gyms have been closed down for months and months and months. In other places, people have been lucky but had to deal with certain restrictions. But either way you look at it, all around the world, PTs have had their lives hugely disrupted, and a lot of people have been forced to leave the industry altogether. And now there's in order to get back to work, a lot of people are being vaccinated and the like. How have you navigated through all of these waters?
Yeah, so I went a little bit different to the other PTs that decided.
That doesn't surprise me.
The natural progression when gyms closed down was to go online, but online obviously has a lot of different avenues. The majority of people that I saw pivoted into Zoom training, which I just never liked the idea of. Me sitting on my couch at home watching you train and getting paid significant amounts for didn't sit right with me. So instead of that, I went back and thought, all right, what's gotten me busy, which is word of mouth referrals. How can I double down on that? And what I did instead was I stopped everyone's direct debits, but I still provided value. I sent everyone free training programs. I sent everyone videos of myself cooking. I said, hey, this is my recipe for the week. We're all at home. Why don't you try it with me? Tell me what you think. I sent them all diet plans. I said, I know that you're not going to be eating out as much, so here's some new recipes to try, stuff like that.
Nice.
All for free.
Right.
By the time that gyms open again, I had like 3 times the amount of people waiting to sign up with me, because all their friends are like, hey, what are you doing for training? I just got sent this program from my PT. Do you want to do it with me? And then they liked the training, and then they inquired more about my services.
Yeah. And where did that instinct come from? Because there would have been a lot of people that were really in fear of the financial implications of the pandemic, especially early on when there was a huge amount of uncertainty Nobody knew how long it was going to be. But your instinct was to step back from the monetary and to add enormous amounts of value. Where did that thinking come from?
Probably I was doing a lot of reading at that time, and there's a book by Gary Vee called Jab, 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 Hook. I think.
Jab, right hook.
Yeah, that's the one. Have you read it?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's an excellent book.
Yeah.
I've got it right.
As a matter of fact.
yeah, there's my referral. There's my discount code if you want to go buy it. So I was reading that book at the time, and it just made so much sense at that particular time. People's priorities were changing at that period of time. They didn't have the income. They didn't have the disposable income at the time. What is the rest of the industry doing? How can I separate myself from that kind of majority crowd? How can I make myself stand out in an already saturated market? So the two things just kind of came at the right time, right place.
Yeah. But a lot of people wouldn't have had the patience around basically putting the financial side of things on hold. And in this situation where now, as you said, as soon as things started to open up, you had 3 times as many people wanting to use your services because of that very shrewd move early on. But how long was it without income? Like, how long did you have to be brave for? And did you insulate yourself financially because of the success that you'd enjoyed before? And so giving yourself that buffer so that you could then execute on this very generous, this give back strategy in the pandemic?
Yes to both
Okay.
questions. So
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to be in a position where I didn't need income at the
weekly
time.
training income,
Whereas others weren't in that position.
Yeah.
I also...
And that's not because you're an acrylic air or anything like that. That's because of the good work that you've done in your businesses to that point. Yeah.
And also, your other question was...
Oh, it was a really good one as well.
It was.
It was so good, I've forgotten what it is. But
It was that you had the insulation.
you're giving yourself that
Yeah,
gap.
you're giving yourself.
And
that
how
gap.
long
And
was
how
the
did you
gap?
come up with the idea of providing the value for the clients that?
Oh, yeah. Another thing...
Yeah. Or how long were you able to survive for? Or how long did you project that you were going to go without the monetary returns for the value that you were now providing?
Yeah, I kind of estimated we'd be in lockdown for about 6 months.
Okay.
I don't think the gym was closed that long.
No, I think we were only a week or something for like. This was before we
Right at
actually
the start.
officially
Right at the
opened.
start.
Yeah, no, it was a while.
I think it was around 8 weeks.
Yeah.
But once again,
But in other places around the world, I mean, it went on a lot longer.
lot
So
longer.
you probably your estimation was quite fair and reasonable at the time.
Yeah.
And a big call to make in your business to say, hey, I'm just going to, forego potentially income at a time when everybody's kind of like, I don't know what's coming next.
I think one of my strongest points with business is that I identify when I'm thinking very micro, and then I step back and be like, all right, now think macro. So in that regard, I could see the easy option, the easy thing that 90% of PTs were doing were pivoting to Zoom workouts, were saying, hey, I can't see you in person, but I can still continue coaching you, continue our payments. That's what 90% of the...
They were
crowd
after
was doing.
continuity, and you went very much into disruptors way.
Yeah. So I zoomed out. I thought of the bigger picture. What's everyone's mindset going to be after we go back to the gym? Who are they going to be more thankful for? Someone that provided value for free during this whole time, trying to create a better culture within your clients, try to make everything fun, or someone that almost just looked after themselves first. And that's, and that whole micro macro thinking is a big kind of determining factor of how I make a lot of my business decisions.
Yeah, you can see it with just how you were explaining it there. I mean, if you're a standard PT, you're 90% of people, and they're sort of week to week as far as relying on those clients to pay the bills, and then not setting up a strategy where they've got those 12 weeks already paid for or covered, and it's like they're sort of just surviving and just getting through.
Very micro.
Exactly, and then it's like they get the shutdown happens, and it's like, oh my God, like I'm not going to have any money at all coming in because we can't train the clients. And it's like, well, I've still got to train the clients. So I don't know, do Zoom or something. But so then it's like for the client who now has also not got an income, it's like, oh, I still need you to pay me. And it's like, so you could almost feel that there would be a slight sense of like, not resentment, but sort of like, well, it's a Zoom thing. Like, are you just expecting the full amount, or whereas what you've done there, and you said, look, I get it, everyone's locked down, but here's some stuff you can do, and I'm still going to provide you things. And then when we get back to it, like we'll continue with what we're doing. But up until then, like, don't be pressured. Like, I'm not going to be like, I need you to keep paying me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So that was very clever. It's such a thing, like with PTing, and I've seen it over 21 years in the gym. The culture changed from when I first started, and I was PTing. It was, you were paid by the gym, like you worked for the gym as an employee, and it was a fitness instructor was what it was called. And then they changed the model to, now you have to pay us to work here.
Where you're a contractor almost.
You set up your own subcontracting thing, so we don't have any responsibility. You can hire the equipment from us, and you can train as many people as you like. Now
you're a contractor, you can work for free.
Yeah, that's right. You can't work for anyone else or anything, but, just here. And then seeing that competition side of it come in, and if, as you said at the start, like if you don't know how to market, if you don't know how to run a business, like those are the vital ingredients to being successful as a personal trainer. You can be a fantastic trainer and you'll fail miserably if you don't know how to get clients, and you don't know how to retain clients, and you don't know how to get the money. It's like those elements must all be in line, because there is an industry out there where people set up a 6-week course and they funnel people through it, and they go, we'll guarantee you a job because you're going to be paying us to work there.
Yeah, that's true.
And then it's like they give you 6 weeks of training, you pay $5,000 for that, and they give you a little certificate and they go, you know how to train people, sort of. Come and work in our gym and pay us $350 a week to do that. And then they last about 6 weeks and they go, this is terrible. I'm losing hand over fist of money. They haven't taught me how to find clients, retain clients, get paid. I'm paying out all the money. I hate the fitness industry. I used to love it. And you see this cycle and this repetition of clients coming through, the trainers, and it's like, you go to any sort of larger commercial gym, on the wall there'll be 12 trainers, and it's like you're competing against 11 other people in the same gym for clients. And what are you doing that's going to make you stand out? Well, you might be in great shape yourself, but does that mean that you know how to communicate, how to train effectively to other people? Because those are those skills that you need to be a good trainer. If you don't have those things, it's like, and you don't learn how to do that, that's why people just they come in and out, and it's like it's a few months.
Well, I think there's a lot of people who are there for a job, and then there are other people like yourself that are building a career, and I think fundamentally when you're younger and you're starting out in an industry, you're very much standing on the shoulders of giants, and the view from there means that you can see where the mistakes have been made down the road. Whereas when people are in a job, they tend to start from the bottom. And they tend to only get the sunshine that's allowed to be that they're only able to get enough in order just to get by. They're not in an environment that's really there for their business growth. They're there in order to curate and maintain the business into the gym, perhaps, but they're not necessarily there to prosper for themselves, and in part because they're not there as a business. They're thinking of it in terms of a job, rather than, well, this is going to be me for the next 25 years. So if it's me for the next 25 years, is it worth me taking a hit for 3 months during what's going to be a quiet time anyway? And then coming back with 3 times as many clients, and it's that long-term vision that you've seemed to have had for your career that's enabled you to make better steps along the way. Does that seem like an accurate observation?
Yeah, that's spot on. Okay. Once again, for whatever reason, the general population, not just personal trainers, but they just seem to think very micro. They're very tunnel vision. It's like, what are your goals? I'd like to upgrade my car, for example. It's like, that's great, that's awesome, something achievable and all that, but what's bigger, like, how are you going to be a happier person? What's going to allow you to become happier? The job that you're doing now, will you be happier consistently swapping 40 hours of your week for a paycheck? Or would you be happier if you followed your passion, gave it a shot, and you could look back and be like, all right, at least I tried. Things like that. But, as I'm getting older, because I'm definitely not a young PT anymore.
When did that happen?
So did you say you're 32?
Yeah. So
I turned 40 yesterday.
I've definitely identified that people just think very, very micro. And I'm actually not in the fitness industry technically. I am, but I'm not right now. But that's strategic because I want bigger from my life. I want more. Like a lot of my clients, a lot of my friends, like, you are earning a lot of money right now. Like, what are you doing stepping back? Any PT would be very happy to be in your shoes. I'm like, yes, but I can't keep swapping a lot of my time for money because the things that make me happy, like travel and hitting goals and stuff, that
takes time.
Yeah.
You take
It
less
needs
money
bigger
to do
things.
the things that you really want to do.
Yeah. And then you pull that back to how I run my business. It's like, all right, instead of just chasing individual sessions for the next week and then try and beat that score next week, how can I monetize and systemize and automate everything to make everything as efficient while still enjoying my work? Because you would also see, not just at my old gym, but in the gyms in general, many PTs are there not enjoying their job. You can see on their face, you can see it in their posture. They are there counting down the minutes on the clock or on their phone. In the worst case, their phone, because they're looking at their phone, until their session is finished, and then they can go scroll social media again. Lots of people are like that. Once again, I'm speaking from a position where I'm lucky enough that I've built myself up. I can turn away clients and I don't have to work with anyone and everyone. But I've only been able to get to that spot because I have turned away people along the years. People have found out I'm not available all the time. So exclusivity is more appealing to them. They're not used to it. They're used to joining a new gym, finding out who the PT is and booking with them. They've never had a PT that said, not only am I double the price of everyone else, but I'm also not available.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, for sure. I love the fact that you would find the clients that would suit you as well. Like, it had to be a good match.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of PTs sort of get. They'll get a client that it's like, oh, this is going to be a nasty session, and it's like that. If you get a few of those a week, it's like you're not going to be enjoying your time there.
Yeah, it's just dragging you down, isn't it? Your energy. And I think when you are a PT or whenever you're working in that health space, there's a lot of empathetic energy that comes from you, and you've got to be very careful with that energy, because if it's misplaced, it becomes very draining very quickly.
Yeah. You can't help but be a sponge when you're around someone for at least 30 minutes for that session, more likely 60 minutes. You can't help but absorb their energy. So the only thing that can control whether you absorb it or not is if you see that person. If they're constantly bringing you down, then just say, hey, I think your goals and your kind of your
Work ethic,
your
demeanor
needs would be better suited for another trainer who is more adept at looking
Dealing
after
with
someone
lazy
like you.
people.
Yeah,
Like you.
in the nicest possible way. And I've had that conversation. The first time I did it, I was shit scared. I'm like, oh shit, I'm losing X amount of money per week. I could just keep doing it, suck it up. But I'm like, no, I'm really not enjoying these sessions. The first time I had to have that conversation, I was like nervous, couldn't look them in the eye.
How did it go?
It went on way too long. I over explained myself. I was super defensive. At the end, they're like, "Yeah, you're probably right."
Yeah.
So I was like,
Okay.
that was easy. Second time, piece of cake, and ever since it's been easy.
Oh, good.
And the amount of times I've had that conversation with someone, they're like, "Nah, you know what? It's me. Like, I haven't been giving you a proper shot. I haven't been listening. Blah blah blah. Give me another chance, and I'll actually do it." And I'm like, "All right."
Yeah.
And then they're a great client after that.
Yeah, well, it's good though. I mean, they've got to prove themselves in a way, and it's like if you're buying my time, like, don't waste my time.
Yeah.
Like, even though you're paying for it, like, I'm still here, and don't disrespect me as a trainer that's here to give you everything that I know in terms of my knowledge and effort and time.
Yeah.
And then you don't give in the effort back, and it's like, well, if you're not willing to do it, then this isn't right.
Yep.
So
Definitely.
yeah, and you see it across all sorts of sports and any kind of industries where it's you've got a coach or a mentor. If you're paying for somebody, it's like it's not enough to just pay them. You got to do the work.
Yep.
And it's like if you're as a mentor or a PT or a coach, and somebody is paying you services, like, yeah, that's one part of it, but I need you to do these things. If you don't do those things, that's the part that is where you'll get all the results.
Stop saying these things to me, Matthew. I'm willing to put in the work.
So, Dave, this is what I need you to do.
Yeah. So once again, lots of the personal trainers out there. That's a recurring theme I see. They'll just keep taking on anyone and everyone at the sacrifice of their own happiness, which leads to them burning out.
It frustrates me, man. Like I see it all the time, and it's disappointing because you see a trainer come in and they're so pumped and excited and motivated, and they love the gym, and then within 6 months, or not even that long, maybe 3 months, they're just like.
But part of that again ties back to their personality. Like with me, I'm big on extreme responsibility, like a book by Jocko Willink. Everything and anything is your fault. It's not the gym's fault that they didn't give enough leads. It's not your client's fault that they can't stick with the plan. It's not the other trainer's fault for taking your clients. It's your fault for not marketing yourself properly, for not following up with existing clients, for not doubling down on exceptional service. It's your fault for everything in life. So another thing that I keep getting from the PTs I'm mentoring is I'm just not getting enough leads. I'm like, all right, if you're not getting enough leads, why don't you take responsibility and you go out on the gym floor and you get leads yourself? They're like, oh yeah,
I don't have to do that.
they're like, you're right. And then they'll be like, oh, what would you say? I'm like, just don't go straight in for the sale. Like people can spot that from a mile away. You know, you don't go up to a random you've never spoken to before and say, hey, looks like you are doing shoulders. Would you like to train with me and do shoulders? Like you sound and you look like an idiot, and then that person's going to tell 5 of their friends to avoid you. You know, you just go in nicely, you just have a normal chat, and 9 times out of 10, people will ask for help if they are looking for help. And if not, they're going to recommend you to someone that they know that needs help because they've met you now. Yeah.
Do you feel pressure, like when you were training? I know you didn't train at the gym that we were working at very often, but did you feel that, like, because I had this when I used to do it, like that people would be watching and judging you critically, like whatever exercise you're doing? Because if you're training other people, like you better be doing it perfectly yourself.
I loved that though. I loved the pressure. I even if no one was looking at me, I felt like I tricked myself into thinking that everyone was watching you. So if I don't perform well, then it will reflect badly on my business.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome.
There you go.
I guess there's a lot of people that are out there in the world right now that are reconsidering their future and may well feel that a career in personal training and fitness is for them, or people that maybe having listened to this podcast today went, now I know what I was doing wrong. Now, what are some of the steps that you would recommend to those people?
Figure out how you can separate yourself from the other faces on the wall. So if you're at a commercial gym, there's 10 other people on the wall, someone that's new to that gym and looking through everyone's profiles, what is going to make them stand out? What is going to make you stand out, you know?
So isolate your point of difference.
Yep. Upskill your skill set. A big thing is working on not just the business model, but like go back to the basics, figure out how to talk to people in a way that makes them feel good and makes them want to come back each week. Like Matt touched on earlier, there are trainers 100 times smarter than me, 100 times better physique than I have, but they will never make it as a PT because they don't know how to speak to people.
Interpersonal skills.
Yeah.
And that. So when you're talking about skills there, you're not just talking about how to teach somebody how to lift something better. You're talking about work on the interpersonal, work on your communication, and ensure that you're not letting yourself down at those moments of opportunity.
Nail the basics first, and then figure out, all right, you know what? I really love working with postnatal women, and then double down on that. You know, be the best of that on that wall.
Yeah.
Another thing is,
So I'd find out what your niche is and drill down deeper in that,
Yeah.
and don't be such a generalist. Yep, that's great advice.
Another one is this is going to contradict what I just said, but like don't overestimate how important it is to be a niche specialist. Okay, so one thing, I'm going to butcher this quote, but one thing that I got told was people don't buy the drill, they want the hole.
Right.
Okay, so no one cares about the brand of drill that they're buying and stuff like that. They just want the end result.
Yep.
So if you can prove that you're the best drill on that wall, if you can prove that you can produce the best hole for people that are wanting a hole, then people will recognize that and you'll be sought after.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the one of the big selling points and the difference, you've got the wall of trainers that gets a small amount of attention. I guess people might look at it and go,
Very overestimated. Yep.
I think the biggest thing is when you're on the gym floor and people see you and your clients having fun and they go, what are they doing? Oh, that looks good. Oh, what is that? These guys are having a good time over there. And then your clients having a good experience and enjoying themselves and then getting fit as well. It's like, well, I want to be part of that, and that's a big difference, because you've got a trainer that will torture their client, like make them work so ridiculously hard. And it's like, if they're not making it fun, like you can make a super ridiculously hard session, but make it fun.
Absolutely.
And it's like, and people are walking on, oh man, I'm wrecked, but it was awesome.
Yeah.
And they love it. It's like, who are you training with? Oh, it was with Norman. It's like, oh, cool. Or you can have somebody that does the opposite, does the exact same session, same reps, everything, but they're just the attitude or the personality or the vibe that they gave off everyone looked at it and goes, oh, that guy's an idiot.
Definitely. Yeah. People notice a lot more than you think. Like, people have come up to me, it's like, it's so good to see a trainer that doesn't go on their phone during the sessions. I'm like, oh, yeah, you notice. Cool.
I've got a smartwatch now.
Even things that I take for granted. Like, I'm big on, when I'm training a client, I don't talk about myself. All my questions are you. Like, how was your week? How's your job going? People inherently will always like talking about themselves more than anything else.
Their favourite topic of conversation. And
Doesn't mean
nobody asks an adult, by the way.
That's right.
Yeah.
Doesn't make them a bad person. Doesn't mean they're self-centered. Doesn't mean they're selfish. It's just inherent human nature. No one knows themselves better than themselves, so that's what they're most comfortable talking about.
And no one likes an opportunity, no one dislikes an opportunity to speak freely about themselves. It's a wonderful way of pulling people out of themselves.
Absolutely. I love when people are passionate about something, because whatever it is, no matter what it could be, this thing I have no interest in whatsoever, but if they are excited and interested in it, then I am excited and interested in it.
The energy feeds, doesn't it? Yeah.
The stuff I've learned from clients is like mind-boggling. I have clients that do I don't even know it's a sport. They dress up in like medieval clothes
Oh yes, we encountered them just recently at the Apex Sport Fest. What do they call themselves?
Yeah, the medieval knights.
The medieval, the medieval battlers.
They have teams, they have weapons, they've got custom-made armor and stuff.
It's brutal.
You should have seen her eyes light up. Like,
really?
As soon as I said, like, what are your plans for this weekend? It's like, I've just finished my armor. My custom-made sword is getting flown down from Melbourne. I was like, this is a big thing. The session just flowed.
It ain't just cosplay, I can tell you.
Right,
Take it serious.
Oh man,
stuff like that. And then I've had surgeons as clients, like, who'd you cut open today? What'd you see?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh man, I was like hammering this hip. It's just stuff like that. I find that stuff fascinating. Like, I love learning about. I love figuring out what I can learn from other people.
Right.
That's just me. And I see on the gym floor a lot personal trainers talking about themselves. This is what I did on the weekend. This is how much I lifted last week. This is what my competition is going to look like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, sure, they might care because they're also your friends and they've been training with you for a while, but they will never care as much as themselves.
Right. So if I could lend a little bit of an executive summary for those people that are listening that are really keen to improve their fitness business. Essentially start off with a vision that is a business rather than thinking of it as a job. Be people-centered, and when you're with people, be with them, receptive to them, and allow them to open up to you by asking them a lot of questions. The other thing seems to be add incredible value and make things fun. So when you can't be with people physically, then do something online with them that is fun if we're hit with a pandemic or a lockdown or something of that nature. And be prepared to say no. Don't have to feel like you got to say yes to everyone, because in those times when you are quiet in your business, that's the time to upskill so that you can work on your points of difference and dig deeper into your niche. Before we go, though, some bro science. Okay, so I'm going to throw some things at you. Okay, bodybuilding or powerlifting?
Depends on the context. What's your goal?
No, just for you. What do you want to do? What do you like? What do you prefer? Just me, bodybuilding for you?
Yep.
Yeah, so leaning down, not bulking up, or you like a bit...
I like looking lean, but I like feeling
big. Yeah. And how do you balance that off?
There's like a certain... If I can't see my abs anymore, then I know I'm getting too fat.
Yep.
If I start suffering with my strength in the gym, then I know I'm getting too lean.
Okay.
For no reason. Like, obviously, if I'm competing, I have to be lean and not very strong.
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent. So training morning, afternoon, evening, or
Afternoon.
all of the above.
My best case scenario is afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm a big advocate of having fuel in your system before you train.
Yeah.
But obviously, context again. I've been training in the mornings recently, only because US markets and crypto don't align. So
this is another entrepreneurial
that's
skill.
Entrepreneurial pursuit there.
Yeah. So I've been training in the mornings, but ideally afternoons.
Okay, supplements, no supplements.
Supplements, yes.
Definitely supplements.
Yes.
Protein, carbs.
Protein.
What does your body respond well to protein more than anything else?
My personal body responds well to high protein, high carb, low fat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've tried low carb and keto and high fat, and I look 10 times worse.
Right. Okay.
Whereas, I'll give the exact same protocol to a client,
Yep.
and they will look show ready. Yeah.
high reps, low reps.
Low reps.
Low reps. Yeah. I'm kind of talking more to you and your preferences than more what you'd advise. I understand you'd be much more bespoke when advising a client. So this is more your kind of preferences. Ice cream or yogurt?
Ice cream.
Ice cream?
Yep.
Bit of a surprise, actually. I thought it'd be yogurt every day of the week, but ice cream it is.
Yep.
Excellent. A steak or chicken?
Chicken.
Chicken?
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is it the with the skin off and boiled with the broccoli, or is it how would you have your ideal chicken if you're not in competition?
Feathered.
Yeah, feathered. Skin off, chicken thigh instead of chicken breast.
Oh, really? Yeah. Why's that?
Just because it keeps its moisture easier to eat. It's a little bit more tasty.
Yeah.
Like a basic stir fry, I think.
Very nice.
Yep.
Oh, well, it's mate, thank you so much for coming along today. I certainly appreciate it. And, it's been a fantastic insight for a lot of people that I know are having difficulties in understanding why it is maybe that their PT business wasn't successful when they've tried it. And those people that are perhaps now, thinking about that career change with all that's going on in the world and thinking, I want to help people. I want to share some of my experience that I think would be helpful, and I want to share my passion for fitness and training, but don't have a framework in order to manage that in a proper business-like professional manner. So if people do want to learn more about how they can, I guess, live out their passion in their business in personal training, how can they reach out to you?
I'm big on Instagram.
Okay.
I spend most of my time on crypto Twitter these days. But
Crypto Twitter?
Yeah, you still see me on Instagram at nom. I forgot to mention as well, for all those PTs out there that are not as busy as they'd like to be and stuff like that, keep in mind that, and this isn't exaggerated, the turnover rate for PTs in Australia is 99%.
Sure. Wow.
So 99% of PTs fail out of the 1% that make it. And that's make it as in are still in the industry after 5 years.
Incredible.
All right, so 99% of PTs fail, but that doesn't mean that's going to be one of you. And whatever you're doing now can be, pivoted and can be probably fixed up. I'm not saying I've got the perfect business model. I'm not saying I've got all the answers, but I just seem to be a lot busier than a lot of PTs while putting in a lot less effort. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think strategically you've put in an enormous amount of effort.
Yeah.
If not, that's not the physical effort that a lot of people are putting in when they're getting up at 4:30 in the morning to train that person that doesn't turn up at 5. But that's because you've given an enormous amount of thought to how it is that you want your business to run before you've even gotten to that point. So, and all of that time that many are wasting, instead of wasting that time, you're dedicating it to building a better business.
Yep.
So for anybody out there who wants to learn a whole lot more about how they can run a better PT business, all they need to do is reach out to Nom Nom.
Yep, that's the one.
Okay.
Yep.
I think it's a coach of coaches, mother of dragons or something.
Yeah.
Coach of coaches, mother of dragons, eater of food. Nom nom.
Yeah, so happy to help anyone. Like I said, don't feel like, I know the cop-out answer is to be like, oh, the market's saturated. There's so many PTs out there. There's so many Instagram famous fitness influencers. How on earth can I possibly compete against who's a big...
You?
No. Like, how can someone like me compete against like a
Bailey or something? Or
yeah,
Rob Bailey
like a Phil Heath or a
Yeah.
whatever, you know, if they're
So
selling
Louis Marco.
yeah,
Yeah.
if they're selling their services for so much cheaper and, you know, they've helped thousands, if not millions of people, why would someone choose me? That's a very scarce mindset. You got to have like an abundance mindset. The obesity epidemic is only getting worse in Australia.
Good for business.
There's more and more clients out there that need your help. It's just figuring out how you can get in their front of mind to help them solve their problems.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Not at the expense of your own time and freedom and
Yeah.
mental abilities.
And then from there, just reverse engineer, start figure out how much you want to earn, how you're going to get there. It's not as... PT is one of the simplest businesses you can start off the ground, I think.
Yeah.
And that's coming from someone that started multiple businesses and is in the process of starting more businesses. So I can say, like, you know, if I wanted to, without sounding overly cocky, I could walk into any gym right now and I would confidently say I'd be booked out within a month. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I can do it, that just means that anyone else can do it if they know how to do it, you know? Yeah.
I know we're coming up to the end of the episode, but one thing I just wanted to highlight, there's a frustrating, like, when people sort of argue back about like advice. But I read in Men's Fitness that it says that you should be doing this.
8
and it's
reps.
Like, yeah. It's like, yeah, but they said something different last month. You know, like every month they're trying to sell you a different thing or a different plan or the new thing or the new fad or this is the thing and now it's keto and now it's this and now it's this high fat diet. Now it's a low fat diet. Now it's a don't eat for 7 days and then eat for, you know, it's...
Well, I guess that's in some part why people do need to have that touch point, that person that they can trust and refer back to, that's in their world, that they're going to get that great advice from, and essentially what you're trying to do is help more people be like that and be that person for others.
Do you get people that like you'll sort of explain whatever it is, and then they're like, no, you're wrong.
Definitely. The big thing is, like, obviously, it's a service-based industry. You got to be a chameleon, so you got to figure out who you can banter back with. If like a 75-year-old woman came back to me and said, "Oh, I read this in a magazine that I should be doing this," I'm not going to be like, "You're joking. What the f are you thinking?" Like, you don't be stupid.
Get out.
You can't talk like that. You got to pick your battles. You'd be like, "We can try that if you want. How about we try this instead for a week? And if you don't respond, we can try what you want to do." And most times they are okay with it. For the jocks and like the meatheads that come to me and say, "Oh, bro, did you try this pre-workout?" Blah blah. Like the most common one is people coming up to me and say, "Oh, did you try this? Did you hear about this XXX shred fat burner? Like it's meant to do this, meant to do that." I'm like,
branch train, free forms.
The main thing I say is,
I take 3 of each.
Yeah, the main thing I say is, if this product worked, we wouldn't be in an obesity epidemic.
Yeah.
Like, if this was a cure for being fat, then we wouldn't be in our current situation. And they're like, "Oh yeah."
I just spent $100 on it.
I don't understand when you're dealing with people. I mean, you're really dealing with an enormous amount of baggage, and you're not just dealing with their will to be able to lose weight or get a little bit fitter or whatever. You're dealing with a whole range of different issues that have kind of culminated in their physical conditioning or their realization that they're less than what they could be. And I think that's kind of where after January the 1st this year, there'll be a whole bunch of fresh faces down there at the gym, and a whole bunch of people that have kind of made that determination, I'm not my best self, who will fade away very, very quickly because of discipline and that type of thing. But the same things that plague the discipline of everyday people also plague that of PTs, and having the discipline to say no, having the discipline to abide by business structure, having the discipline to make things fun and make people the focus of what you do instead of making that about you and yourself, or making people feel like they're a distraction to your time on the phone, seem to be some of the fundamentals that have kept you in really good stead over what has been one of the most troubling times in history for what has been a business that's been in growth for the last 40 years. I reckon it's only the last 2 years you've seen all of the growth cut out of the industry, and only the best are surviving. And so it's a full credit to you that during that period of time your business has more than trebled and the waiting list grows. So and having heard what you've had to say today, it's more than obvious why all of your success is coming your way, mate.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
No worries.
It's so good to have you on. Yeah,
it was what you just said is very true, though. The problems of personal trainers are very similar to the problems of everyday people, and that a very recurring thing that I see is people unable to keep promises to themselves. If a person can't keep a promise that they will stick to a diet a week, or a personal trainer that can't keep a promise that they will sign up 2 new clients that week, after that week, they lose confidence in themselves, and that snowballs into they no longer have faith and confidence in themselves. And that's a hard kind of hole to pull yourself out of if you constantly let yourself down. So for personal trainers and for everyday people, the easiest thing is to set achievable goals. I know how cliche that sounds. I know everyone says it, but it's probably a reason why. Set achievable goals, because when you hit it, you feel good about yourself, and then you want to challenge yourself to hit the next one.
And make yourself accountable to a power higher than yourself, perhaps, as well, definitely. Which certainly is part of the why people seek out a mentor and get a coach. And I think that whenever you are accountable to a higher power or a power outside of yourself, for instance, you'll tend to work to the expectations of that person or the expectations of your word, then perhaps your internal dialogue with yourself.
Yeah, somebody holding you accountable. It's like, have you done the thing that you were supposed to do? Damn it, I know they're going to ask me. I've got to get it done.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, deadlines and that pressure, that time pressure on there as well.
Absolutely.
Your niche skills, your special skill set, the people are interested in training with you, and you have obviously you have a knowledge of all areas, but is there certain things that you've got, this is my specialized area?
I like working with recently executives, so like really busy corporate people that don't have much time.
Okay.
But they do have a lot of discipline.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
And high achievers.
Yeah, high achievers, that kind of personality A type person I very enjoy working with. People that have tried a lot of other things and it hasn't worked for them. I like working with those people as well. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Excellent. And naturally PTs that are out there that are looking to improve their business, and for their business to look a little bit more like yours and less like the 99% that don't make it.
That's an outstanding stat.
Yeah.
99%.
Isn't it?
It's crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep.
So, well, thanks so much for dropping by and sharing that knowledge with us. I mean, I know that there's going to be people out there that are going to take enormous amounts of value away from today. So, just a few of those little helpful hints and tips for people that are looking to start a business in fitness, or who are who maybe not experiencing all of the success they feel that they deserve. Go back through this podcast, listen to it again, and then at the end of it, if you still have questions, then there's one man you need to speak to. Norm Lowe is here, and you can catch him on Instagram on Norm Lowe Nom Nom.
Yep. Norm Nom Nom.
Norm Nom Nom. Yep. Just Norm Nom Nom.
That's
there
it.
was no other norms that wanted Nom Nom.
Okay. No, there's a few with underscores and.
Oh, really? They're trying to get in on the action.
Now there is.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
I was early.
Yeah. Got in. Well done.
Got in early. Yeah, it's pretty memorable. There's not very many norms out there, and there's definitely not very many that look the way I do. So I'm pretty unique, luckily, which has also helped with business. So
Yeah. You are your point of difference.
yeah.
So,
Well, I'm a walking billboard, whether I like it or not.
Yeah.
So yeah, PTs out there, just remember you are being watched all the time. Like whether you're eating in the office or you're training someone on the floor, people will always have eyes on you. So just conduct yourself well. Make sure you're approachable. A big thing with me was my meals are so massive that people always go, like, is that one meal? And that would start a conversation. Just things
so
like
walk
that.
around with massive meals. Okay.
If you're the person in your gym that has purple hair, if you're that person in the gym that always smells good, whatever, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Have something different about them. Yeah.
just have
Or
something.
be that person with purple hair that smells good with big
massive
meals.
meals.
Yeah, with big
and,
meals.
and you will be a hot topic of conversation around the gym.
But I'm not downplaying this. The amount of times that I had comments on my shoes, like,
Yeah,
it worked.
and the clean shoes.
It
Yeah,
worked
absolutely.
really well.
There's some real gold as people listen back in this podcast. You've sprinkled a whole lot of stardust over the whole episode today, mate. And I think it's a tremendous resource for all of those people that are in and around the fitness game that have been wondering what's been going wrong for them. I think today you would have answered a whole lot of questions, and for those that may still be experiencing difficulty or not sure of the way to go through, well, thank God they've been exposed to you now and have an opportunity to find out more. Absolute pleasure, Norm. Thanks so much for coming along. Ladies and gentlemen, Norm Lowe.
Thank you, guys.